This morning, Paul Scheer, comedian, actor, podcaster, now author of a new memoir, Joyful Recollections of Trauma. You may have seen Scheer on FX's long-running comedy, The League, or more recently, Black Monday on Showtime. Every week, millions listen to Scheer's hugely popular podcasts, where he sometimes shares short personal details, but never anything this deep.
This book definitely shares a bunch of stories that I have maybe told in an anecdote, but never really told the full story.
Paul Scheer grew up an only child outside New York City, obsessed with celebrities. Then and now, a self-proclaimed fanboy.
This is my autograph collection here. I talk about this in the book a little bit.
This is the joy
That's Marky Post.
in Joyful Recollections of Trauma.
The Iron Sheik
Yeah,
you have in here.
This is the David Letterman, Bob Newhart.
Best celebrity encounter of all time.
For me, was Christopher Walken. This is my Christopher Walken autograph that he gave me after our meeting.
it.
And if you notice, it is on a prescription thing. My dad is a pharmacist, so I didn't have an autograph book. I had his prescription pad, so Vicodin on the back.
Scheer's carefully cataloged, if not downright hoarder-esque garage, is an archive of a life spent devoted to entertainment, consuming it
Billy Joel, my first concert.
Oh.
There it is.
and creating it.
This is really the piece de resistance of my collection. This is an actor, John Funk, is my stand-in. He gave me his resume of all the people, so I'm happy that I'm on it, right there.
These are all the bald actors that he stands in for.
Yeah.
This is a good list to be on. Patrick Stewart, Jonathan Banks, Kingsley, Alan Arkin.
J.K. Simmons, Ed Harris. I mean,
Wow.
it's a who's who of bald men. I told you about my old writing partner who fired me for being a hack and a sellout.
By now, Scheer has appeared in more than 140 films and TV shows.
I'm gonna die in this room.
It is a distinct possibility.
He also, on a weekly basis, hosts two of the most popular podcasts in the world. How Did This Get Made?, which takes a look at really bad movies, and Unspooled, which takes a look at really good ones.
Hello, people of Los Angeles!
As a performer, Scheer often comes across as innocent and charmingly goofy. There is a whole lot more buried underneath. Your stepfather strangled you over a game of Monopoly.
That is true, yeah. But that wasn't any different than any other day.
This is the trauma in Joyful Recollections of Trauma. As he writes, Scheer's parents divorced early, leaving him with a stepdad prone to constant violence.
That was the hardest thing in writing this book, is trying to explain like how normalized it was. It's not like,
For the abuse.
yeah, the abuse was to me just an everyday occurrence. And so I think what really affects me now, and looking back at it, is how close I came to something worse happening. You know, I'm very lucky that I didn't get more hurt.
For a time, the environment he was in set Scheer on the same path. The anger and abuse that you dealt with as a kid led you to develop your Hulk persona, and that scared you.
You know, when you are living in a house where violence can happen very unexpectedly, you have to fight back. So I didn't see it at first as anything more than me being prepared to fight, because at a certain point I realized I don't have to be the victim to this. I don't have to just submit. What I forgot was the outside world is not the same as what was going on in my house. And I didn't know how to turn that off. So everybody that I met, everybody that
Was a confrontation.
Yeah, I was ready to throw down at a moment's notice. I felt like I was a bully. I wanted to stop being a bully, so I just cut it off. And then when I went to therapy, I started to understand oh, I've cut off a whole part of my personality.
Scheer also discusses his attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, something that really struck his wife, actress June Diane Raphael.
And it's funny because reading the ADHD chapter is all about Paul
moving and having ADHD, and I think I really always want him to be still. His brain, quite simply, works very differently than mine.
Nothing makes sense. Every choice is flawed. But besides that, the movie is perfect.
Together, the couple co-host How Did This Get Made, along with actor and comedian Jason Mantzoukas.
I have so much to say about...
But I also have nothing to say
and
as well.
very little.
In retrospect, How Did This Get Made could also be a good question for the couple's marriage, considering what happened when Scheer first proposed.
I thought he was doing a bit, and I thought it was cruel.
Why did you up the proposal so badly?
It was like, I really was in this old school way of doing things, which was like, I
Yes.
want to surprise you, I want to get the ring, and
Yes.
and I guess it was too much of a surprise.
I think that what's not in the book that I'd like to share is that
boy.
Yes.
he's actually incredibly romantic. And I am not. So I couldn't identify a romantic moment. I didn't think it was real. But more than anything, I think that when people meet Paul, every friend of his would say this, and I'll say it too, like, he uplifts people and brings so much joy to people's lives. And I think that that does come from not having had that love and attention, and having had so many adults fail him. And it's something I'm really proud of.
That's nice.
It's very nice. It's very nice. No, it's like...
I'm just trying to get through this without crying.
You know what I'm talking about.
Joyful Recollections of Trauma is a memoir of a man in constant motion.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
As he wrapped our interview, Scheer was rushing off to a speaking engagement. The sheer scope of the art and creativity he seems intent on exploring is endless. What have you not done that you still want to do?
I just want to be excited about what I'm doing and working with good people. Like, that's my end goal is, like, I don't care if it's a movie, a TV show, a podcast. I just want to engage with people that I respect, that challenge me, and we get to make stuff. And if, Marvel wants to pay for a trainer for me, I wouldn't mind getting super buff, but besides that.
This guy does not stop. And you see all the projects he does. It was also a joy to spend time with his wife, too, and just see the way they interact.
Dynamic.
Really interesting to see. But he's just, just a fun guy to spend time with.
And true love there. You could really see that in
Oh,
your interview.
yeah.
That was really special.
They said it's felt like one long continuous first date. 20 years together, because they're still getting to know each other, as they say.
And they have a great dynamic between them. What I found really fascinating about the story, too, is how heartfelt and how sincere he seems and all that he's done, and how much self-reflection he's also done along the way.
He's still coming to terms with himself. I mean, aren't we all?
Yes.
To a certain extent. And he's processing that, and part of the way he does that is with this book.